So, you've enrolled in this creative nonfiction class, and I think it's entirely possible you still are thinking to yourself, what even is creative nonfiction? Yeah, it's kind of a newly named field. Creative nonfiction is the fastest growing area in publishing these days. And it's also one of the fastest growing disciplines in education, so at colleges, universities, and even in high schools around the country. And basically, it's hard to define because it's a little bit like what we've been doing for a long time. It's nonfiction. So it's telling true stories using true facts, trying to be accurate, not fictionalizing, not creating characters from your brain, but writing about real people in the real world or real events that truly have happened. So a creative nonfiction writer has an obligation to be as accurate and factual as memory allows. Now, of course, memory is flawed, and memory differs from human being to human being. Oh, by the way, this is not my always voice, by the way. This is my voice when a flock of buzzards has taken up roost in my lungs. Anyhow, so you, as a creative nonfiction writer, you are telling true stories. Sometimes this is memoir. Sometimes it's stories from your own life. But also there is sort of more journalistic creative nonfiction where you can go out and do research. You can write a profile of someone, or you can research an historical event and write it up in a way where you emphasize sort of the narrative and the character development. I guess one way to think of creative nonfiction would be that you are writing about true events in a way that adapts some of the techniques of fiction writing, where maybe you consider things like your characters, even though they are real people and not made up, or you consider how you're going to plot and pace the events, even though they've already happened in the real world. And really, I want to emphasize this idea of creative as well. There are many forms that creative nonfiction can take. There are photo essays where it's an interspersing of photographs and text. You can do comics and tell stories. A really great example would be Alison Bechdel's Fun Home. If you like sort of a graphic novel, but it's actually a memoir. I mean, it's the story of her dad. So there are a lot of things you can do. You can do sort of a collage where you bring together a poem you've written and photographs you've taken, and then just some normal paragraphs. So you can you can make it almost like multimedia. So that is the great thing about creative nonfiction is it does allow for creativity, but it also asks you to stay anchored in things that truly have happened. So you are trying to be as factual as you can, but at the same time, you're trying to bring this story into a kind of narrative that educates your readers and pulls them in and isn't kind of just dry, boring stuff, but really comes to life for the readers. I also really want to emphasize that creative nonfiction is not just for arty, poetic writer types. There are a lot of people in the sciences, in technology, in economics, in engineering, who are realizing that they can bring to life for the world the work that they do by writing it and presenting it through creative nonfiction. There's a really good book. The woman who wrote it, her name is Hope Jahren, Jahren, and it's called Lab Girl. And so she is a biologist. She's a scientist. And it's really a memoir. It's also about her relationship with her parents and where she came from, at the same time that it shows this sort of inner life of what it is to be a research scientist in the world. How does she get funding? How do you start up a new lab? How do you find the people who are going to work in your lab? And then just like the ethics of the science that she's doing. So I find creative nonfiction to be a really exciting type of writing. And I'm hoping that as the semester goes on, you relax into the idea of it and you find yourself getting excited too. So always ask questions, but definitely enjoy yourself. If you have some ideas for what you want to do in the class that are maybe you're like, is this too alternative? run them by me. Let's go for it. I'm game. Let's have some fun, my friends.